Hey guys, welcome to another MapleStory Beginner's Guide, and today I want to talk to you quickly about leveling. So those of you waiting for the pirate review, don't worry, it's coming this week. We still have 3 more days, just give me some time. Right, so a quick episode on the Beginner's Guide. So first we talked about picking your server and then picking your main, assuming you've done that by now. It's okay, even if you don't have a main yet, you can still keep following along. Then last episode I introduced you to a whole bunch of systems to MapleStory, but we'll go into them one at a time further into the Beginner's Guide. But for now, let's talk about getting you to level 200. So in 2013, the level cap for MapleStory went from 200 to 250, and then in late 2018, the level cap rose to 275. So yeah, a lot more leveling to do. Fortunately for those of you who have returned to Maple after playing maybe sometime during the days of pre-Big Bang or earlier than 2012, where it was still really difficult for you to get to level 200, training has become so much easier in lower levels, so it doesn't take the same amount of time as it used to back then. Now there's also a bunch of ways that you can augment your training speed, such as getting Frenzy Totem. Well, that's more of a whale thing, but like increasing your spawn rate, choosing better places to train, experience coupons, and things like that. Now in the event you guys have seen some videos, whether my own or someone else's, in which we power leveled a single character from like level 10 to 200 in a ridiculously short amount of time, that is extremely unrealistic for you guys at the current moment, since players like us have been playing for a long time. We have an extensive supply of equipment, items, experience boosters, and such, so it's naturally going to be much faster for us just because we've been playing the game for a lot longer. But newer players, you will have access to pretty much none of that, so you're gonna have to, I guess, dial your standards down a bit. But then over time, as you become more established into the game, you can get a lot better. You can improve your training speeds much faster. Depending on what class you play and how efficiently you train, such as training in the right places, it should take no more than like 6 to 8 hours now. I know even that sounds like a crap ton of time, and you're probably going like, oh my god, I have to spend 6 to 8 hours each character for 40 characters. Trust me, it gets a lot easier once you start properly establishing yourself. The first level 200 is always the hardest one. Kindly take a look at the video description. I know almost none of you guys read the description, but I do have a couple videos linked that can help you guys out with knowing the right places to train and how to train properly. So I'll be leaving a power leveling guide and a training guide down below for you to check out, as well as a couple other links. But in this video, I want to help you guys take the necessary steps to get decent enough gear and stats to get by. At early levels, like between level 20 and 60 or so, you'll have access to Todd's Know-How questline, which you can get by clicking the yellow star icon to the left of your screen and clicking on his various available know-how quests, each that give you a few things to make note of, which I do recommend you guys read in case you don't know what they are. But after reading them, you can get your hands on some valuable starter equipment for your class from level 20 to 60, and more importantly, you get a few other interesting things like a teleport rock, a pet, and some other super nifty things to help you all the way up until like level 100. As you go about your training, you'll be able to pick up some equipment on the ground that mobs drop to keep you going once you reach 4th job. But after you do reach 4th job, there is a new system put in place called Starforce, which I have another video in the description for as well. I talked a little bit about the Starforce enhancement system last episode, and this is where it becomes of greater importance. Starforce is an equipment enhancement feature that not only makes your gear and character stronger, but it grants you access to Starforce training locations, which are like premium training spots that have much stronger mobs for that level in exchange for giving more experience. So if you do have the stats and gear necessary to take these areas easily, you can get way more experience than normal training locations at that level. Starforce does cost a decent amount of meso, at which point you don't have probably for your first level 200 character, so for the time being, focus on getting some more pieces of equipment, because by now you probably only have like a hat, a weapon, maybe gloves, shoes, some armor, and that's it. There's still a whole bunch of other equipment slots that you have to go for, like rings, pendants, belts, shoulder accessory, earrings, cape, you know, you get the idea. Early game bosses starting around level 100 to 120 will be available for you to take on that all yield some good placeholder equipment for the time being. Some bosses I recommend trying to take on are Normal Zakum, Normal Hilla. The latter might be a bit difficult for you to take on by yourself, but if you can find another player who can tag along with you and you 2 or 3 or 6 can go and fight the boss together to make it easier for you to get some free equips. If you are looking for friends to make in-game, by the way, you can check out my Discord server if you haven't already. Link is, of course, in the description. Everything you need will be in the description, so be sure to check up on that. I got a lot of members from every server there, so you can get to know some people. There are a few other early game bosses you can take on, like Normal Horntail. Better if you go with a few buddies, since bossing is always more fun when you're in a party. These bosses come with other pieces of equipment known as the boss accessories, which all drop from the numerous bosses you find around the Maple world. These are all great equips to wear for new players since they give a ton of good stats and whatnot. Bosses also drop other mentionables like potions, elixirs, meso, crusader coins, which I'll get into later, and special things called intense power crystals, which look like blue eggs, which you can exchange in the free market for extra meso, so be sure to do these bosses every day with your pals. Once you start filling out a lot of your character's accessory pieces around level 130 plus, you'll start to run into some more gear on the ground, such as pencilier equips, which once again are good placeholder equips that get you to level 200, and then after that it's just grind the rest of the way. I should mention that once you reach 140, you'll have access to both hyper stats and hyper skills, so as you go about your training you should be mindful of that since they help make your character stronger. For hyper stats, focus first on damage and critical rate regardless of what class you're playing, since those two give you the most upfront boost in your damage. As for hyper skills, it depends from class to class. Some of you might be asking me why you should level your main first to 200 before getting things like link skills to make training faster. It's mostly so you can mentally prepare yourself, so you get an idea for how much time it takes to train and what kind of grind you'll be in for, especially if you're new to MMORPGs, those of you guys who are coming from games like Fortnite, Minecraft, League of Legends, whatever. Trust me, it's not as bad as it looks, you get used to it eventually, but MMOs as a whole are a much more time-invested game, so it's a longer pace of progress than the likes of, let's say, other games where it's just a quick 30-minute game or 20-minute game, whereas MapleStory, there's no like 30-minute, 20-minute games, it's just one really long-ass game. Training up until around level 150 is really easy to do even if you're like dirt poor and have nothing on your character, but after 150 your pace of training will get much slower, but try to power through. Like I said, first level 200 character is always the hardest one. Next ones will be way easier, especially once you get the hang of how to train and once you get better items and stats for your characters to be able to train at a much faster pace. Anyway, that's about it for now. Goal for this episode is to just grind your first character to 200, and then in the future episodes we'll talk about ways to make training a lot easier for your other characters. If you're interested in learning more about training your character and better improving your experience, feel free to check out the resources I have in the description. Hope you guys are looking forward to more beginner's guide videos. If you can, a rating would be much appreciated to support the series. If you do have any other questions though, let me know in the comment section below, but thanks again for watching and I'll see you again soon in the next video. Take care.